Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight, and my guest is filmmaker and writer Stewart Sparke and actress Lyndsey Craine. How's it going, guys?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, we're really good. Thanks so much for having us.
Man, so how much fun did you guys have at Nightmares Film Festival? I missed you guys Thursday. I couldn't come, and I was a little upset because I wanted to meet you guys.
No, it's sad to miss you. Yeah, we had such a fantastic time. Nightmares, what Jason and the team do, such a warm, welcoming festival. We had such a good time. We could only stay for the one day because we made a commitment to try and hit up every single US premiere that we had. So we did Nightmares, we did Spooky Empire, and then we did Film Quest, all in one 2-week block, which was insane.
What?
But we had such a great time. But Nightmares couldn't have thought of a better US premiere. Everyone's just so nice, and it seemed to go down really well. So
That's why it's one of the best horror film festival in the United States. It's just one big happy family, and there's a lot of talented filmmakers and all that, and then everybody just has a great old time.
Oh yeah, and it's just it's one of those festivals that just supports independent film, low budget independent filmmakers who, there's a lot of festivals that unfortunately don't show that much support to these movies. A lot of them, they program these big movies, a lot of movies that come out in the cinema, and independent horror movies, a lot of them, sometimes unfortunately the only chance you get to see these movies is at these festivals, because they don't always get a streaming release, they don't always get a Blu-ray. So what Nightmares does is amazing, and they've always been so kind to us. They had Book of Monsters in 2018 as well. We love it. We just love those guys. And as soon as we arrived, they were like, hey, giving us hugs. It was so nice. Yeah, we loved it. And met so many other people there as well, which was great.
I'm glad you guys did. Like I said, I wish I met you there, Thursday. I was there Friday and Saturday, but it would have been great. But I'm glad you guys had a ball. And thank you for sending me the screener on How to Kill Monsters. I thought it was so fun. It was just a fun horror film with a lot of, comedy. And I love it because you went the practical effects way. I love films with practical effects.
Yes. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. And we just want to make entertaining, fun movies. These are the types of movies that we love as Dark Rift Horror. So we, practical effects is a big part of that. It harkens back to all the stuff we love, like Evil Dead 2. We love Tremors, Gremlins, Critters, all that stuff. Anything that had practical effects. It's just, I don't know, it's that nostalgia really, is that we love those movies. So we're like, let's make those movies. And let's cover Lyndsey in blood.
Yeah.
She loves it really. She pretends she doesn't, but she loves it.
Yeah, there was buckets of blood. I think it was.
Hey, Lyndsey is a badass final girl. I like to see her more as a final girl in some more horror films. I mean, just her mannerisms and how she portrays the characters in different films. I mean, she just nails it as a final girl.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Yeah, I do love. I've been so lucky with the characters that I've been fortunate to play, and having been in Book of Monsters and playing Sophie, and then this one playing Jamie. It's just so much fun, and there is a lot of blood. But getting to use a chainsaw and fight monsters, it's great. It's a great way to spend the day.
I love how it started. It was like a cabin in the woods with a ritual, and everything goes bad for Jamie. And then you see Jamie at a police station in an interrogation room. The police thinking she killed everybody. And I love it because you did a nod to John Carpenter for Assault on Precinct 13. And, instead of them, fighting all these, crazy gang members, it's mostly monsters attacking this police station.
The film was almost called Assault on Monster Precinct. It was almost called that. We thought that might be a bit too pulpy. But I love John Carpenter's films. The Thing is one of my top 5 movies of all time. But Assault on Precinct 13, I love that as well. So there's definitely a lot of influences and nods to other stuff in the movie, and like you say, we wanted to give a nod to Evil Dead 2 with the cabin at the beginning. I've always wanted to shoot a cabin in the woods, so we built a set for the interior of the cabin, a studio set, and then we found this really cool place near where we live in York in the UK, which is like a cool little glamping site. But they built these cabins, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. That looks like the cabin from Evil Dead 2. So we kind of wrote it around knowing that we had these places to film, which is kind of what you got to do when you're low budget. It's like, what have we got? Let's write a movie around that.
So how'd you come up with this story? You have a pretty twisted mind of yours. I mean, The Good and Blood. How'd you come up with this premise? At first, I thought this was a sequel to Book of Monsters, which is not, but that's what I thought when I was going into it, because that's why I wanted to ask you. Is this kind of like a sequel, or kind of like part of the same universe, or what?
Yeah, well, it's I write all the films with my co-writer Paul Butler. We founded Dark Rift Horror, which is our production company, together in 2015, and we've made 3 films together. And we just sit down and go, what do we want to see? What do I want to go to the cinema, and what do I want to see? So really, after we did Book of Monsters, we loved that story, and a lot of people were like, oh, you should make a sequel. And we thought of some fun ideas, and we did come up with a kind of a sequel idea, which was where Sophie and all the characters from that movie got arrested by the police, and the second movie would take place in a police station. But as we were writing it, we were like, this would be so much more fun if it was new characters, because then we can bring a lot of the old cast back. We can do lots of cool stuff with Lyndsey's character, obviously. Spoilers, but those things happen that you might not expect. And we can do more with it. So we just went, look, let's do it as an entirely original movie. And we kept, obviously it does sound familiar because we're kind of doing an unofficial monster trilogy, I guess. Book of Monsters, How to Kill Monsters, but they are completely different and disconnected. I kind of like to imagine it like Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy. If Book of Monsters was Shaun of the Dead, this is very much Hot Fuzz. So if we ever get around to doing a third one, it will be our World's End, I guess. Bring the same people back, but completely new story, new characters, and then you get to play someone else. It should be fun.
Yeah, covered in blood, probably.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Lyndsey, you love to be covered in blood of every role you do. What does it feel like to be drenched in blood all the time? Do you dream about being drenched in blood all the time?
It's more like having nightmares about being covered in blood all the time. It's definitely an experience. It's just always, I've just seemed to have fallen into these roles where I'm reading the script. I'm like, oh, okay, get to page 10 and I'm covered in blood. Yeah, I don't know how it's happened, but it's weird because once the blood, I think when you've got the blood poured on you, it's the realization that you have to have that amount of blood reapplied to you every day on set. And that's always a moment when you see yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh no, this is a lot of blood that I'm going to have to reapply. But yeah, once the blood's on you, it dries so that it's not too bad. You know, it just gets a bit crusty, a bit gross. But it's more the goo that can come from the monsters that's the worst, because that does not dry. Like, it stays sticky and slimy all day. So I think those days are worse. When you've just got the blood on you, weirdly, it's actually not as bad, but the goo from the monsters when you've been fighting them is the worst because it's so slimy. But yeah, the blood washes out very well as well, so that's good.
Yeah, we don't skimp on the blood, the quality of the blood.
No.
There's no expense on the blood.
Yeah, I mean, in this film, I think every film I do, I always think, oh, this will be the most blood, but there's always more blood. And particularly in How to Kill Monsters, I can categorically say I've never had as much blood on me as I did in this film. So, but I'm sure there'll be more in the next one. So.
I love the characters in the film. They're like different and, kind of unique, especially the buddy cops. I love those guys. Those guys had to known each other because they played off each other pretty well, like they've known each other for years.
Oh yeah, so you got Daniel Thrace and Aaron Dennis. We worked with them. Yeah, we've worked with them ever since we started making films. So, like, they've been in almost everything. Dan, in particular, has literally been in everything we've ever made, I think, in one role or another. So Aaron played Dennis, who was kind of like the more bumbling brother, and then Dan played Melvin, who was kind of the tougher, bit of an asshole brother, who really didn't like your character in the movie, but that was kind of a fun dynamic to have. And yeah, we really wanted to do, like, what is the British equivalent of an American buddy cop, but in our movie. And I think the two of them are they're so much fun in it on screen. I just wish we'd done more with them. This is the thing. Every time you make the film, you have such a good time on set with people, and you're like, I wish we could do more with them. But they did such an amazing job. Every scene they're in just makes me smile.
Yeah, that crazy bride, those bridesmaids, man, they kept me like on the edge of my seat. I was like, man, they're bitches, man.
Yeah, they were horrible. Lovely people in real life, though. Again, Michaela Longdon, we worked with her on a lot of films as well. She's been in all our features. She's a lovely person.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And she was like the best friend, Mona, in Book of Monsters, and we were like, okay, we're going to turn you from the best friend to the most horrible character imaginable.
Yeah.
And then, we had Luella Gaskell, who was like, the first time we worked with her, but she was great to work with. She was I was like, Luella, you need to just be kind of hammered the entire movie. Just be drunk the whole time, do stupid stuff. And then we had June and Fen as the bride, and Ruth, respectively, who were just so cute. Ruth, especially, as a character, she's just so sweet and cute, because we really wanted kind of just this really innocent character who kind of has a little mini arc during the film where she kind of has to find her voice in it, but we kind of play that for a joke as well, because it's like, we're well aware of the tropes in horror, so we're like, how do we just make fun of the fact that this is just a stupid bit of character development that really doesn't mean anything, but it's still fun. So I think that's what we tried to put in with all the characters. They all have a little arc in the movie, which is quite fun.
How'd you come up with the creatures? How'd you make those creatures? I mean, those were. I just love the look of the creatures, how they were designed.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we again, when me and Paul are writing, we just kind of go, what's a fun monster? Because it would be very easy to just put a werewolf in there, a vampire in there, and, your traditional stuff. And me and Paul are big fans of Lovecraft work and Lovecraft-inspired stuff. So that's why there's a lot of Lovecraftian influences in all the creatures.
I've noticed that, yeah.
Yeah, especially there's kind of a big miniature that we have that eats one of the characters, and that was built by a model maker friend of ours, Gary Allen. And I just went, look, I want a baby Cthulhu, basically, make that. And then Mark and Paul from DDFX Studio did all of the other creatures in the movie, and I just kind of went to them and met with them quite regularly and went, I want a big slug-type creature that's kind of like just slime and tentacles, and then we want one that's kind of like a plant monster thing, and just try to make them fun. Again, it's just, is this going to be fun? Is people hitting this with plastic swords going to be fun? If it's not, we don't use it, but if it is, we do it.
My favorite part of the film, which cracked me up laughing, was where the giant slug ate that cake that was laced with heroin. Oh my gosh. I have to say that was my favorite part of that whole movie. I couldn't stop laughing. I had to rewind it to watch that again.
Oh, good. Yeah, that cake monster thing was a weird one as well. It's just like this big mouth doing this, and I had to be the one in the cake as well. So I was just in there going like this with my arms like opening and closing again. We were just like everyone on set's just there crying with laughter because it's so stupid and ridiculous. But that's why it's fun to make. It's so much fun to make this stuff.
I like films like that's why I like about this film, because it's ridiculous. Gory, a lot of, horror elements in it, and it's just ridiculous, but it's good and fun. I like how you guys just have fun with it,
Thank you. Yeah, 100%. I think we always go in and go scene by scene as we're writing the movie. We're like, is this fun? If it's not, we take it out. And especially, it's got to be fun to make as well, because filmmaking's really hard. Mm-hmm. All independent filmmakers know how hard it is to make a movie. And it's just, if you can have fun on set while making that movie, then make that possible and do it. So that's why we write in all this crazy stuff.
I mean, it looked pretty good with the budget you had, too, because it's really hard to get money to make an indie horror film. And the budget you had, you did pretty good with it for a low budget film.
Thank you. Yeah, we were really lucky. We had some great people who've supported us over the years who kind of come back for this, and then we also reached out on Kickstarter. We did a Kickstarter for Book of Monsters, and a lot of those people came back to support us again. And Kickstarter is such a valuable tool for independent filmmakers, especially. I mean, essentially, if you can find a group of people who like what you're making and who will support you, That's incredible. So we did a Kickstarter, and Lyndsy's actually been editing all the behind the scenes content. Yeah. So all our backers are getting like regular behind the scenes videos and trying to keep them up to date. So there will be a Blu-ray release through the Kickstarter and then publicly as well that we're working on. But yeah, we really just try and be smart with the money, which I think all independent filmmakers are. And just put the money on screen as much as possible, which does mean that a lot of people who work on the film do it for very little and out of passion, really. But we get everyone who works on it, like Lyndsey and like everyone else, we all just love making these types of movies. So if you can find those people, keep them and surround yourself with them, because they're the people who will keep making films with you again and again.
All right, Lyndsey, I'm going to talk about another role you did. This is I love this film. It's a trauma film, which is great. Eating Mrs. Campbell, where you played a vegan cannibal. Man, that movie was so much fun. I mean, your character, it just really blew my mind in that film. I mean, it was a great, classic trauma film, and I loved it. I loved all the characters and the characters who played your parents that were these cannibals, how you'd bring like your boyfriend home, and that was a good, bloody, fun film. So how'd you get part of that film and part of Trauma?
Yeah, so I got cast in that film quite early on. So it was actually just after we filmed Book of Monsters. So Liam Regan, who's the director of Eating Miss Campbell, saw me in Book of Monsters, and he said, "Hey, I've got this film, and I think you'd be really great in the role," which was an amazing thing to happen. So so I was kind of cast before the whole film was even written, really. So that's how I got involved with it. But yeah, it's such a wacky film. Like Liam's so great. We love Liam. Yeah. And yeah, I think it's funny that my character, she's a vegan goth cannibal, is the most grounded character in the film. Like the film's just full of these wacky kind of cartoon-like characters. And yeah, it was such a different role for me to play, but it was so much fun. Again, very, very gory, lots of blood. But I think, they're breaking the fourth wall for the character, and that she was so self-aware. Like, I really enjoyed doing that. And yeah, it was fantastic. It was a lot of fun, but yeah, it was wild. It was a wild film with a lot of crazy characters. Yeah, and I mean, I never thought I'd play a vegan goth cannibal, so it's a good, funny combination to play.
Yeah, especially the American principal. He cracked me up, the violent American principal coming, across the pond to the school, and he had all these crazy thoughts in his head.
Yeah, played by Vito, who's such a fantastic actor. He's so funny. He's such a lovely guy, and he's amazing in the film. I know he's been in quite a few other Tromas movies as well. But yeah, he's great in the film. Really, really, really good. So, did you get a chance to meet Lloyd Kaufman? I haven't. No, I've actually never met him. I would love to meet him one day, but I've never had the chance to meet him. No, but I've heard he's really lovely, so I would love to meet him one day. You need to kick Liam's butt, because Liam's like real, friends with him. Be like, how come I didn't meet Lloyd, Liam? Yeah. It's demand to meet him. Come on, Liam. Well, that's cool. I mean, being in a trauma film, to me, that that's kind of like a big deal in my opinion. But No, thank you. Yeah, I was so fortunate to get the role, and yeah, as I said, it was a lot of fun to film. I'd never actually seen a trauma film before I got tied up to the film, so it was interesting to find out, more about trauma movies. But yeah, I had a fantastic time working with Liam. But yeah, it definitely is a wild movie, like a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching more trauma films just to see what they're like. Yeah. So did you finally check any films? And what was the first trauma film you watched?
Watched Return to Newcomb High. Yeah. Started at the end. Yeah. Kind of went backwards.
So that was the first one we saw. Because I think there was a guy that was in Banjo.
Clay, yeah.
Clay, yeah. And Asta, his wife, is in the film.
Oh, Vito's in it as well.
Yeah, and Vito, yeah. So there's quite a few people that we knew that were in the film. So it was cool to see them. So we met Clay and Asta in New York, actually. Yes. When we were there for Book of Monsters, they were both so lovely. So it was nice to see them in the film. So yeah, did start at the end. Went my way back.
Yeah, Liam's promised to show us some more. So we need to ask him, give us a a playlist of which all the order we should watch.
Yeah.
You gotta watch the original Class of Nukem High, of course. That is great. And then, of course, you gotta watch Sergeant Kabuki Man, which that's another one. And of course, you gotta watch the Toxic Avenger films, man.
That's so good.
Yeah.
You'll get that.
Yes, I will. I'll get that.
Now, let's talk about you guys. I always ask this to my guests on the show. You guys have that, like, nerdy passion. You guys are, like, big Disney nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was you more than me.
Yeah,
although you brought me into it.
Yeah, that's it's all my fault, really. I used to go to Disney World when I was a child, and then when we got together, I was like, "Hey, we should go on holiday. Like, why don't we go to Disney World?" And it kind of went from there. So we've been, how many times have we been? Now 8, 9 times.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot. We are married, so we went on a honeymoon there. You proposed to me there. So yeah, Disney Nerds is definitely the right title to give us. It's just the best place. It's just so good. Like,
don't get started on Disney World.
We'll be here for hours.
But this is the thing, is like, because I love Star Wars, and like you were at first suggesting we go to Disney, and I was like, maybe. But they had Star Wars weekends at that time.
Yeah.
So I used to go. I'd get really excited. We went to like 2 years worth of Star Wars weekends just before Disney bought out Star Wars, and then obviously they built the land, and we just went back and saw the Galaxy's Edge, went on the Millennium Falcon. So I was having a great time. Yeah, I'm a super Star Wars nerd. I've been to Star Wars Celebration before, dragged you along.
Yeah. I'd not actually seen Star Wars when we got together. Yeah. It's kind of like as soon as we got together, he was like, right, you're watching all of the Star Wars.
Hey, I like her. You trained her right, because I'm a Star Wars nerd too, man. She needs to know all that Star Wars logic. Now you gotta teach her, the religion of the Jedi now.
Exactly. We're getting there slowly. Yeah.
I did like Star Wars World, so that was good.
Yeah, you like Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, it was good.
So you guys have been to Disney World. I grew up in California, so I went to Disneyland a lot. Did you guys ever been to Disneyland?
No, we would love to go. We've never been.
Never been to LA. Well, you went when you were at school.
Yeah, I went to school randomly.
We've never been like that far into America.
Yeah, so, one day we'll get back there. One day.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah, you better.
I promise we'll make it over there. We'll come and see you.
Yeah.
So over in the UK, how popular is independent horror? Is it like really big compared to how it is in the States?
I think it's bigger in the States because you have more streaming services that are like really rich with like indie stuff. Because you've got like Tubi and things like that. We don't have that here. Like, we've got Shudder. And then we've got Arrow Player, but really, like, it seems like in the States, because that's the big market for like selling indie films too as well, like a lot of the American streaming services. So it's big. We still have some big conventions. We've got like a HorrorCon in Sheffield, which is huge. We've been to before, and there's a really good convention called For the Love of Horror, it's only been running about 5 years, but they just had like the whole Lost Boys cast there. They
nice.
Get a lot of big, it's really cool. Annoyingly, it's always on when we're away at a festival, so I've never got to go. But horror is still massive in the UK. It's just for like indie horror films, you really kind of got to stick to Amazon Prime for that kind of stuff. That's really your only place to go, other than like Shudder and things like that. But again, because of licensing, like Shudder gets stuff in the US Shudder that we don't get in the UK because of these stupid deals that they do. So yeah, we have to wait a long time to see things sometimes, which is really annoying. Like Pearl only just came out here.
Really? I thought the same thing about the UK, because you guys usually get some of the better horror than we do, and you guys have some of the movies on physical media that the States don't get, So for me to get something like from Umbrella or anything across the UK, I have an all-region, Blu-ray player, man. Sometimes you guys have the best stuff, though, too.
I would say physical media in the UK is really good for horror. Like, we have Second Sight Films, who just put out like an amazing 4K Blu-ray of Dog Soldiers, which is so cool.
Love that movie.
It's great, right? Yeah, so much fun. Again, like the type of movies we make, me and Paul always talk about like, it should be like Dog Soldiers. Remember that scene in Dog Soldiers? But we have loads of cool labels, and I think licensing's weird because stuff gets either sold worldwide to a distributor or sold off by territory. And the UK, we get a lot of cool restorations and stuff that the US doesn't get. But likewise, you've got loads of stuff that I want. Like, I really want... There was a really cool, like, Event Horizon Blu-ray that came out.
Yeah.
Not that long. Couldn't get here. And I was like, and I can't afford to pay for all those, like, shipping costs.
Oh, I feel you. I mean, I've ordered a lot of, physical media from, across the pond and Canada and all that. I feel you. That shipping does, like, really kick your ass. It's like, do I really want to spend that just to have that?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm overflowing it. You probably see in the background. I need some more shelves of Blu-rays, and half of them are still not open.
Oh my gosh, you are worse than me. You should see my collection. You guys, excuse my language, would shit your pants. I mean, I got tons. I mean, horror's my favorite, and of course, it'd be action and sci-fi next. But I got a whole tons of things. I love supporting physical media. I know over here it's slowly dying, like at the Walmarts, the Targets, everywhere. But the only place you're going to get them, you're going to be paying a little arm and leg is either on like on Amazon or Arrow or like Shout Factory or Kino Lorber and Vinegar Syndrome. That's where it's all going. And it's a shame because a lot of people today just want to sit at home and just watch it streaming. They don't like believe in having that copy. And the bad thing about, there's nothing wrong for digital movie fans that like to watch films, but most of those digital films are either edited, they take certain scenes out of it, which is not fun compared to a physical copy. Yeah,
it's a sad state of the industry right now, is that the big streaming companies, the companies that own streaming services like AMC, like Disney, like Netflix, they want to kill physical media because it benefits them. They want people to subscribe. The problem is that when you add up all the subscription services that you actually have, like Disney Plus, Netflix and stuff, you're paying so much money, and most people just watch the same content.
Yep.
Like we have Netflix, but I just watch reruns of The Office and like Arrested Development and Star Trek: The Next Generation. That's literally, and it's like I could just buy the box set and save so much money. But it's, again, they've convinced you that it's so convenient.
Yeah.
But, and so many times, like now, I will go, I really want to watch, Starship Troopers. And then I'll go and just watch and go, where is it? And it's nowhere. But I could pay like £15 for it on Amazon to rent it. Or I could go buy the Blu-ray from a second-hand store for like £5 instead. So it's like, it really pays to own these things. And I think for preservation, like a lot of the rights management for films, the terms only last, they go anywhere from like 5 years to 20 years. After that point, no one owns it. And if no one can afford to buy it, that film doesn't exist online anymore, apart from illegal downloads. So it's like you owning that movie, that's yours. And just today I saw on Facebook, like Sony have just removed the entire Discovery catalog for PlayStation owners. So if you bought films owned by Discovery, they're not yours anymore. And that's going to keep happening. That's going to continue to happen until physical media is phased out. You are not going to physically own anything ever. So buy it now while you still can. And I do think as well that physical media is going to have a bit of a renaissance very soon. It's going to come back because just like vinyl and VHS, people are going to realize what they were missing the whole time. And that's why we've started releasing our own stuff on physical media, at least in the UK, because I want people to have Book of Monsters and How to Kill Monsters on their shelves. I don't want it to languish on a streaming service somewhere with a million other movies. I want you to be able to own the slipcase and have it signed and stuff, because that's important to filmmakers, owning that copy. So
yeah, you guys better send me a signed copy of that film.
Okay.
Shoot, I don't care. I'll pay the shipping for it. You can send it. I'll pay that UK ridiculous shipment and all that as well. Hey, so do you have another project you're getting ready to do? Is there anything you're going to be doing next?
We're working on a few things. I mean, this is the thing. All independent filmmakers know that making the movie is so exhausting.
I bet.
Yeah, so like we're really focusing on getting How to Kill Monsters finished right now. Like we want to get the Blu-rays out. We've got a tie-in comic book and a little video game too, which we did as part of the Kickstarter. So when it comes out, hopefully early next year, people will be able to pick up the whole kind of whole package And we can hopefully get that out to some streaming companies too. So really, the focus is on that. We want to make sure that's done, and then we meet every day, and we're like, what should we come up with next? We've got some ideas, but I think let's get this one out first. That's the main thing. But I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, so I mean, Eat Miss Campbell should hopefully be released potentially by the end of the year.
Yes.
It's hopefully coming out very soon. I've been speaking with Liam. I know it's getting its hometown premiere on the 22nd of this month, which will be great. It's had a 16-month festival run, which is insane. So yeah, I'm super proud of Liam. And then I've got next year. I've got a kind of a ghost paranormal investigator movie that I'm in. That's my character set in the 70s. That was super fun to do. So hopefully that should be out next year. Yeah,
you better let me know so I can watch that, because I love all that stuff about the paranormal and anything that deals with paranormal investigation. When you just said that, I'm sold. Shut up. Here's my money.
Nice. That's awesome.
So where can everybody find you guys on social media?
So we're kind of collectively Dark Rift Horror. So it's just at Dark Rift Horror on all the social platforms. That's where you'll find all the stuff about the movies. My personal stuff is just at Stewart Sparke.
My personal one is just at Lyndsey Craine.
We've kept it simple.
Very simple. So on Instagram and Twitter. So yeah, very simple.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a blast.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's just great to chat about this stuff. And yeah, thanks so much for having us on.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been really fun.
Really
I'll definitely have you guys on again. You guys are fun.
I would love to. Yeah, let's get back on. Let's do it again. Just to talk about anything. Let's just talk about Dog Soldiers. Yeah.
Hey, we can do this episode about Dog Soldiers. I love that film. I brag to that film to people that's never seen them, and I go, "What? You never seen Dog Soldiers? Where the hell have you been? You're not a horror fan." All right. And everybody have a great evening.